Tonight's session is all about making the most of LinkedIn, of AI, to ultimately stand out in a really crowded marketplace. And I say that because I think the reality is, no matter whether you're in Toronto or Vancouver or where you might be, it's a little bit harder to land a job today than it might have been 2 years ago during the Great Resignation. And so what I want to show you is a couple of techniques to help you find your place in this world and to really go out there and seize that opportunity. But before we get there, I want you to give some love to your team. So one of the nice things about Microsoft Teams is it makes it super fun to chat. You can put in emojis, you can put in GIFs, give some amazing love right in the chat to Trisha and Bill, Jackie, and everyone supporting your success because they're working super hard behind the scenes to help every alum live a great life. Now, that being said, for those who have never been to one of these sessions, just so you know, even though I'm sitting here in Silicon Valley and I've worked at some cool companies, I didn't start there. I actually began as a kindergarten teacher in New York City, of all places, but it was my nerdy passion for technology, for teaching my kids how to make PowerPoints or record MP3s that led me out here to the tech world. And there were two places in particular that really transformed my career. The first one, as Trisha mentioned, was getting a chance to work inside LinkedIn. Because even though LinkedIn might seem like just another social network that we really want to just ignore, inside you realize LinkedIn is the global hub of hiring. It's where every top recruiter from Lululemon to Shopify to RBC goes to find great talent. And so if you want to get found, LinkedIn is where you want to be. The second really important stop was most recently, I was working with this guy. And I don't know if you recognize his face, but you probably would recognize his voice because he's Sal Khan, the guy behind those famous videos for learning algebra or calculus or whatever you've been working on or helping your own kids with. And so when I was working for Sal Khan at Khan Academy, he called me into his office about 2 years ago and said, Jeremy, I need you to close the door. And I was starting to sweat. I was like, oh my goodness, about to get fired. I said, don't worry, I'm not firing you. But what I'm sharing with you today, I'm sharing in secrecy because I just heard from my friend, Sam Altman, over at OpenAI, that he's got something new that's going to change the future of our species forever. And I was like, come on, Sal, that sounds crazy. And then he showed me ChatGPT 6 months before it ever went live. And ever since then, I've been on a mission to help students and alumni take advantage of these tools to land jobs that you love. And all I ask in return is 3 simple favors. Number 1, I would love for you to answer some pop quizzes. And I know that you're thinking, oh, I haven't been a student for a year or 10 years or 20 years. But don't worry, these pop quizzes are not graded. It's all in the name of learning. Number 2, I would especially love for you to volunteer for live demos. Not only is it a great way to learn, I also have a great incentive, which is I will give you a free LinkedIn profile makeover right after the session that would normally cost $100, but is free to you because you were brave to volunteer. And then third and finally, even if you don't want to volunteer, no worries. Just do me the biggest favor of all, which is take action. Try these techniques on my screen, on your screen, and you burn them right into your muscle memory so they're there for the rest of your career. Okay, with all that said, time for the first pop quiz. According to researchers in the HR field, what is the number one reason that people report for quitting a job? Is it A, bad salary, just not getting paid enough? B, bad boss, the Michael Scott effect, having a toxic leader? Or C, bad fit, just not connecting with the role, not feeling like you're using your best skills? So A, B, or C, what do you think is the number one source of dissatisfaction in the job? Jody says C. Bill says C. Doigu says C. Luna says C. A lot of C's here. I would have thought there'd be more B's. I do see a couple B's from Jackie and Ruth. But let's start with Jody. Jody, you said C. It's all about fit. If you don't mind unmuting for just one moment, why do you think fit is so critical?
Because if you're not going to go to fit, you can colleague, right? Because everybody is working in a team. If you cannot fit the culture value, and it's a big issue.
Yeah, it's almost like the way that you feel if you're like a fish out of water. This is a place that seems so good in theory, but I just don't feel right here. And it's rubbing me the wrong way. And it turns out that you nailed it, Jody. Because when researchers dig into this, yeah, we all hate bad bosses. We all want to be paid more. But the reality is, if we're just not doing the work that's right for us, it's going to be hard to be happy. So the reason I want to bring this up is that the first really powerful tool that you can apply networking to is not just to get the job, but to find the right job in the first place. And so, if you are thinking about a career pivot or you're looking for something new and you're not sure what that thing is, all you have to do right now is raise your hand or just chat in, I'm in, and the first person to do that will win a free profile makeover to help you stand out in your desired field. So who's going to be our first volunteer tonight? You don't need to know anything about networking. Just be willing to give it a shot. All right, so I'm going to see someone is typing in right now. Dun, 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 dun. Ruth Elizabeth, are you willing to give it a shot? Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Okay, so Ruth has this first one, and then Jody, I'll come back to you for the second one if you still want it. So Ruth, if you don't mind unmuting for just one moment, I want everyone to give you a lot of love for kicking this session off right. And then Ruth, tell us a little bit about yourself. And Ruth, just let us know if you have any trouble with that little unmute button. That's always the key to get started here. Okay, Ruth is saying, I'm a graphic design student. I think Ruth might have a challenge with her audio. No worries. Because this is a little bit better if we have the ability to actually chat live. Let's go to Jody in this case. So Jody, I'm going to go back to you. And Drugo, I see your hand up as well, so I'll come back to you for the second one. Okay, back to you, Jody. Jody, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I graduated in George Brown College in a computer system technician 1 year ago. And now,
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm based in Toronto, Canada. Currently, I am looking for how to leverage my LinkedIn profile for more on connection, like networking, because I'm working now.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're thinking about networking, you're exploring different
Mm,
options. Jody,
yes.
tell me about a job that you might want to have later on in your career that you would like to explore now, whether it's, CTO or head of IT. What might be interesting to you someday?
Actually, I'm working in an IT industry field. I would like to work in a project management field in the coming future.
Ah, very cool. So you're in IT already, and you might want to
Mhm,
switch over to project management. Now, Jody,
mhm.
have you ever had a project manager job?
Not really, but I'm working with the project manager.
Okay, that's awesome. So you're working with project managers. You have a little bit of a sense of the role. What if I could
Mhm,
connect you with project manager alumni from George Brown so you could
mhm.
chat with them and learn about their experience? Would that be useful,
Yeah,
Jody?
of course. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so
very useful.
check this out. So Tricia was mentioning the power of LinkedIn. And one of the things that I think we forget about is LinkedIn is not just a job board, a place to apply for jobs. It's a place to find the right fit in the first place. So check this out, Jody. If you come in and type in George Brown College, you will
Mhm,
discover that on the George Brown page is what I call my digital baby. Before I had my own children, this was the thing
mhm.
that my team created to give you access to thousands of alumni. What I want
Yeah.
everyone to do is click that link in the chat and then bookmark it because you'll be able to use it for the rest of your career whenever you want to explore. So look at this, Jody,
Mhm,
172,000 alumni. How about we
mhm.
filter by project management? How does that sound?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, so let's slide over here. We can see all these people in these different spaces. We're going to say, of those alumni, let's look at the 5,000 in program and project management. So I
Mhm,
click there. Now we still have so many choices here, Jody. Look at this. We've got
mhm.
Scotiabank, RBC, CIBC, all the most famous employers. Is there a certain place or a certain company that you really want to explore further, Jody?
Maybe Scotiabank.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, the reason I love this tool so much is it takes something that feels so overwhelming. Oh, networking, it's scary. And it makes it
Mhm,
as easy as online shopping. We go to Amazon, we pick out stuff, bam, it's so easy. Same thing here. You click on Scotiabank, you click on RBC, and then look at this. Here are the people inside those organizations doing those jobs. So let's start with Bhavin. He is a program manager, which is very similar to project management at Scotiabank. And if we want to learn from him, we've got to reach out and have a little bit of a conversation, right, Jody?
mhm.
So Jody, big question for you. This is kind of like a career game show. Do you want to go with door A, which is connect, door B, which is message, or door C, which is the more button? Which of those doors is the right one? And by the way, everyone give Jody ideas in the chat, kind of like a game show crowd. I want you to help out our contestant here. But Jody, what do you think is the right one to click?
Germany, I think it depends on your LinkedIn account because if you're not premium member connected, I think you cannot write message, right? I'm not too sure.
Right. So if you click message, it sounds right, but it's actually a trap. And you nailed it, Jody. Because if you want to use message, you have to have LinkedIn Premium, which costs about $50 Canadian every single month. Now tell me this, Jody. Do you want to spend $50 on LinkedIn Premium for the rest of your career? That's like 3 times as expensive as Netflix, right? No one wants to pay that. So watch
I don't
this.
want.
Next time there's a George Brown alumni weekend or alumni reunion, I want everyone to buy Jody a drink because she has just saved you hundreds or thousands of dollars, which is you don't have to have LinkedIn Premium. Instead, you go to connect, you go to add a note, and you can send a message right to Bhavin. Now, here's what I'm seeing a lot of these days, Jody. I see people who are coming here to ChatGPT and saying, generate a LinkedIn connection request. Have you ever tried this, Jody?
Oh.
Okay. And the reason I know is because they all look the same. I hope this message finds you well. I came across your profile, blah, blah, blah. Jody, put yourself into Bhavin's shoes. Why do you think this kind of message might not be very effective?
Because this is very standardized and you want to tailor-made or custom message to different people, right?
That's right. Everyone wants to feel special. Everyone wants to feel unique. And if you reach out with a one-size-fits-all message, the immediate signal is I just don't care about you that much to even write a personal message. So don't use AI for that. Instead, check this out, Jody. I want us to think of AI less as a ghostwriter and more as your personal research assistant. So if you grab Bhavin's profile and you come into ChatGPT and say, what are 3 things I should mention to this fellow alum when I reach out? Just like a good research assistant, ChatGPT can look through that profile and help you figure out what's actually important. And now we can focus on the stuff that's really useful. Alumni connections, shared interests, mutual connections. That's the stuff that's powerful. So Jody, let's write a way better message this time. Okay, we're going to write our message. What's the first thing you want to say to Bhavin? What did you mention in the very first sentence?
We both study in George Brown College, I think.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a brand new GBC alum with a shared passion for project management, right? In just one little sentence, you've managed to put 2 things in here that binds you together, that shows him you're not a stranger, you're a member of the same tribe. Super powerful. Now, what do you want to do next, Jody? Do you want to give Bhavin an elevator pitch? Tell him how amazing you are? Or do you want to ask him for his advice?
Ask him for his advice.
Yes, you're right. And tell me why. Why did you choose that path?
Because I think we need to be humble, right? Because we need guidance.
Yeah. And I think I'm just encouraging everyone to send you a lot of love in the chat because you're crushing this, by the way, Jody. You're like, yeah, look, every single human being loves to share their experience. They love to pay it forward to the next generation. We just have to give them the chance. So you'd say, I'd love to learn about your journey and what you've discovered along the way. Because again, he's probably made a lot of mistakes the hard way, and he would love to share those so that way someone else can benefit from what he's discovered. And then final question, Jody, to end this message, should we just say, Bhavin, let's connect and stay in touch? Or should we say, Bhavin, I know you're really busy, but any chance you have 10 minutes for a quick chat next week?
Yeah, the last one. Quick check.
And why? Why is that a better ending?
Why? Because I think make them special and you have a because in my experience I have many people try to connect, but that they did not do any follow up and just connect.
Yeah. Basically, what you're saying is, I don't want to get to a dead end. Like, let's stay in
Mm-hmm.
touch doesn't really mean anything. Whereas what you
Mm-hmm.
want to do is you want to learn. You want to get out into the world and discover the path that's right for you. So, Jody, you're so close. By the way, I just put Jody's message in the chat, not because you have to copy it, but because it's a great template, a great sort of starting point to figure out what you want to focus on. Now, one last question, Jody. When you have a chance to chat with Bhavin, whether it's on the phone or over coffee, what do you want to ask him to decide if his role is a good fit for you?
This question, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, this is the tough one, right? I think we
Yeah.
all kind of understand how to ask for help, but we don't always know how to ask the specific questions that get us the insights we need. So watch this, Jody. I'm going to give you a really good hack, which is if you're not sure, you could always go to Google and say, hey, what are some informational interview questions? And you'll find some questions online that are pretty good. You know, tell me about a typical day. What do you like about your job? All that nice stuff. But they're very generic. Again, one size fits all. Watch what you can do with AI, Jody. So you come back to ChatGPT. You say, generate 10 questions for Bhavin to decide if PM is a good fit for me. Now tell me a couple things about yourself, Jody. Tell me what kind of work you love doing, and also what you want to get out of work. Is it because you want to make an impact in the world? You want to have a chance to have work-life balance? What's important to you?
You mean out of the work or in the work?
In terms of like, do you what actually makes you happy in the job, and then also the opposite, what drives you crazy? What would you love to get rid of in your next job?
Oh, because we usually work in a project, so I love to interact with other people, and I like the achievement. Once you finish the project, you can see it's done right, and you feel satisfied. And because in our industry, we need to keep learning, keep I achieve different certification. So I feel very happy every time when I achieve one milestone.
I love that. And so watch this. If those are your North Stars, if you've learned that about yourself, Jody, that these are the things that really matter to me, look at the questions you can generate for Bhavin. How do you typically collaborate with your team? Aha, understand those team dynamics. How important is communication? Are you getting a chance to try new things, to learn new skills? And ultimately, what you're asking, Jody, is a crystal ball. You are using Bhavan's experience and these great questions to predict your future, to decide whether this role is going to be a fit for who you are and what you love doing. And Jody, I got to just tell you, you have rocked this. You have brought so much courage and commitment to the session, and I'm definitely going to give you a profile makeover. So do this for me. Come to my profile on LinkedIn, shoot me a message, and I will get working on that makeover right away. Okay, Jody?
Yeah, you mean now?
Yeah, right now. Send me that message today, and then as soon as the session is over, I'll see that message. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Jody, you were fabulous. Everyone, give it up for Jody. Your very best emojis right in the chat. She was awesome. Now, if you've got questions about this kind of networking, because you say, Jeremy, it looks so easy on the screen for Jody, but it feels so hard in my mind. I feel anxious about it. I feel scared. Let's talk those things through. So if there's anything standing between you and reaching out to these amazing George Brown alumni, let's talk about it. And you can put questions in the chat, or you can just unmute and just ask live. So I'm going to pause for a moment, see if you have any questions about networking. Tricia, go for it.
I have a question because I work with LinkedIn a lot and I help students with it and grads. And I think something that was mentioned a little bit by Jody is, so let's say I message out to someone and they don't get back to me. Is there any other way that I could connect with them at all through LinkedIn? Is there any other channel that I could give a little nudge? Is that when, like, with that, I can't use message, I guess, because that costs money. But what are your ideas on that,
Yeah.
Jody?
Oh, Tricia, this is such a great question because it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be really clear, if an alum does not respond to you, it's not that they don't want to talk to you. It's that they may have never seen your original message.
Mm-hmm.
Because it turns out not everyone is as active on LinkedIn as I am. And so they may never log in, they may never get the notification. And it's not because they don't want to talk to you, it's just because they didn't see it. So now we have to think to ourselves, if they're not checking LinkedIn, what are they checking? And Trisha, what is that inbox that every professional in the world checks 5 times a day?
Well, their email.
Yeah, their work email, right? And so watch this. Turns out there's another tool that is free to use. So you don't need LinkedIn Premium. I'm going to put the link in the chat and watch what this tool can do for you. If you came over here and said, okay, what is the email address for scotiabank.com, and you plug that in, they will determine that the email pattern for Scotiabank is first name dot last name at scotiabank.com. And now, when we reach out to bhavin.choksi at scotiabank.com, we have direct access to the one place we know he's looking, because we all have to check it as professionals. So you're absolutely right, Trisha. Do not give up if you don't hear back. Find another way in. I love that, Trisha.
That's great. Thank you.
Of course. And then going once, going twice. Any other questions when it comes to networking or engaging with fellow alumni? Okay, it sounds like folks are already diving into the alumni tool. And just as a quick reminder, all you have to do is come right over here to this link and you're good to go. So with that said, let's move on to the next pop quiz. Let's say that you've done a little bit of research. Like Jody, you've checked out some different roles, you've checked out some different alumni, and now you decide that you're ready to apply. However, you have 3 choices when you apply for jobs. You could apply directly on a company's website, you could apply via LinkedIn, or you could apply via referral from someone inside the company. Which of those 3 channels will 10x your chances of being hired? A, B, or C? Jody says A, it's all about the company website. Crystal says C, it's about the referral. Doigo agrees, Bill agrees, Jackie agrees. Okay, Crystal Lynn, you started a trend. If you don't mind unmuting for one moment, why do you think referrals are so powerful?
Well, it hasn't been my experience yet because I'm still very new to this whole process. However, from what I've been told, those who have referrals have a stronger chance of getting hired since there's already somebody in the company who can vouch for them. So if you can make a solid connection with someone who works at the company that you are aspiring to work at, that person could put in a good word. And several organizations also offer employee referral programs where the employee might get a bonus for recommending some new hire who works out well for the team. So that's my perspective thus far, even though I haven't experienced it as yet.
Crystal Lynn, even though you said you were new to this, you are a pro. You nailed it. Look at this. The data is just so stark. If you are looking at this infographic, what it's essentially telling you is that the vast majority of people only apply online. They don't get refers, they don't get any other opportunities, they just go online. And the reason why this is so devastating is because people are very rarely hired online. It's like an online application black hole where your resume goes in, but it never comes out. On the other hand, even though fewer than 1 in 10 candidates are getting referred, just like Crystal Lynn said, they are taking up the vast plurality of the one thing we all want, which is they're getting hired. So now, the next challenge to solve is, we all know that referrals matter, but how do we actually get one? How do we get that 10x advantage? And also, how do I get a free profile makeover from you, Jeremy? So if you want that opportunity, just let me know. And this time I'm going to go to Doigu because you had raised your hand before. Doigu, are you interested in this? Do you want to give you that opportunity?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the last question.
Are you interested in volunteering for this opportunity?
Oh, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for your patience. Just to make sure, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, it's correct. My name is Duygu.
Okay, beautiful. So Doigu, tell me this. If there was one place in all of Toronto or all of Canada that you could work at that would make you so happy, what is that place?
Amazon.
Amazon. Oh my goodness. And we all know that Amazon is a tough place to get into because they get millions and millions of resumes and they only hire a small fraction. So Doigu, tell me this. Do you know anybody who works at Amazon?
Currently not, but I know someone who used to work there. Yeah, that's it. I haven't started researching about it actually.
Yeah, and so here's the good news. Even though you don't know anyone today, we can change that. We can find someone on the inside using the power of LinkedIn. So what I want everyone to do right now is to join me on this journey. In this case, I'm going to search for Amazon, but you can search for whatever the organization is that you're excited about. The city of Toronto, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Shopify, whatever it is. Plug your dream employer in. And then when you come to their company page, their listing on LinkedIn, check out what you're going to discover, Doigu. There is this little shortcut that is hiding in plain sight. And when you click on this 10,000 plus employees, look what we found. An employee directory that is more detailed, more data rich than even the one on their servers in Seattle. Pretty good place to start, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, with 717,000 employees, that's a lot of people who could refer you. Now the hard part is, how do we filter this list down to find the people who not just could refer you, but actually want to refer you? So tell me this, Doigu. What do you have in common with someone who works inside Amazon? What connects you to someone inside the company?
Position, school. We already filtered George Brown, I think, right? No, we
Exactly.
haven't filtered George Brown yet.
Yeah, so let's do it.
George Brown is the common thing.
I love that. And here's the really cool thing. I think when a lot of us are in school, we're very focused on the academic experience. Great courses, great faculty, all that good stuff. And that's true. But even after we've graduated, and even when we forget some of those things we learned in class, we always have the network. We take that with us wherever we go. And so if we say, show me all the George Brown alumni inside Amazon, look at this, Doigu. Over 200 people who we could be reaching out to. So let's keep filtering a little bit. Doigu, is there a certain kind of job in Amazon or a certain office at Amazon that you want to work for?
Marketing positions, marketing departments.
Okay, so we'll say, show us everyone in that list who has marketing somewhere. Sure enough, marketing leader. And why don't we start with Paul's profile? Because here's a marketing leader from George Brown at Amazon in Toronto. In other words, who could be more perfect? So this is a great place to begin. Now, Doigu, I'm going to give you two options. We can do what Jody and I just chatted about, which is we come over here, we hit connect, we add a note. But even if we reach out that way, our chances of getting a response are only about 20 or 30%, especially because what Tricia mentioned, which is maybe he never sees our message. On the other hand, I've got even better news for you, Doigu, which is there is something right here on this page that is even more powerful than George Brown, that will guarantee us a 100% chance of a connection with Paul. What do you think that thing is?
Contact info.
So there's definitely contact info. Now, because he's second degree, it's not going to give me his email address, unfortunately. So that it might have been a good idea, but not in this case. What else? It's right here on the screen. Something that's super powerful.
Common friends, mutual connections.
Just like referrals are so valuable to recruiters because they bring some trust to an otherwise sort of long list of strange candidates. These mutual connections bring a lot more trust, a lot more social proof to your outreach. Now imagine this. Imagine that I reach out to Leo and say, Leo, could you please introduce me to Paul? And he reaches out to Paul and says, Paul, if you do not chat with Doigu today, and she goes to work at Shopify or Walmart or anywhere else, you're going to regret it till your dying day. And, oh, by the way, she's a George Brown alumna as well. Now, do you think Paul will take some time to meet with you?
Yeah, of course. It's going to be the first referral to become a referral.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Beautifully said, Doigu.
Yeah.
It's a referral that leads to a referral, kind of like dominoes. Okay, so now Paul has agreed to meet with you. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes. What's your strategy for that conversation, Doigu? How do you want to use that time?
I would love to use that time very strategically. I would like to start like introducing myself and thanking him to meet me. And I would like to mention a little bit about our common points. I would like to emphasize George Brown and our common connection. And then I want to go directly to what I want. I want to tell him how he can be helped for me, or I can actually ask his opinion about some questions like how is work in Amazon, or my goal is to have this position, and I saw that a position is available currently, and I'm very interested in that, like how, and I saw that you are working there. Like I would ask a couple of like easy questions for him to suggest something for me, and then maybe at the end of the conversation, if the conversation goes well, I might request if he could be a referral for me.
Oh my goodness, Dwayne, I love that. That is so powerful because it basically goes through all the things that are important, right? You break the ice, you focus on what you have in common, you give him a chance to sort of share his story as we were talking about with Jody. And then here's the part that I think is really challenging. It's even challenging for me, even 20 years into my career, which is I love what you said, Doigu. You could ask him for a referral, but what if you don't feel confident enough? How can you plant the seed that might grow into a referral someday, even if you're not bold enough to just come right out and ask for it? What do you think
Maybe
you should do, Doigu?
maybe I can ask his contact, like email information, and I can send a thank you email first. Maybe I
Okay.
can suggest, like, or I can request that in a thank you email right away, like right after the meeting, or maybe a couple of days later.
Yeah, I love that. So maybe it's easier to do over email. Maybe it's easier
Maybe.
to do with a little more distance in terms of the time. And there's one other idea. And this one has been so powerful for me over the years that I want you guys to write this down. So grab your pencils or grab your keyboard. What I will usually ask at the very end is I will say, hey, this has been amazing. Could I ask for one last piece of advice? If you were back in my shoes, trying to break into Amazon for the first time as a new George Brown grad, what would you be doing to get in an interview? And there's something about that combination of empathy, because they've been a student before, nostalgia, they love George Brown, and also the tangibility of the question. It's not about like a theoretical, it's like, what is the actual thing you would do that seems to shake loose opportunity? And in my experience, Doigu, a lot of times they'll say, I was referred, my whole team was referred. Referrals are like gold here. You got to get a referral. And then they'll say either, hey, send me your resume, I'd be happy to refer you, or let's stay in touch. Maybe I can refer you down the line. Either way, the door has been opened. And Doigu, are you ready to walk through it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, exactly. Right answer. Oh, my goodness. Doigu, you are fabulous. You absolutely crushed that incredibly hard challenge. And you're natural. So I hope that you'll share your expertise with other George Brown alums because you were amazing. And I want to give you a profile makeover. So just like I mentioned to Julie, or to Jody, excuse me, shoot me a message on LinkedIn right now, and I'll follow up right after the session with more information, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Doiga, you were fabulous. And again, everyone give lots of love because our volunteers have been amazing. Okay, I know this strategy can feel a little bit nerve-wracking. Where you say, okay, Doiga's great. What if I don't feel so confident? What if I'm not getting the responses I want? What do you guys want to know about referrals, getting them, or how it all works inside the system? Again, I'm going to pause. And if you want to unmute, you can do that. If you want to ask in the chat, that's fine too. So what questions do you all have when it comes to the world of referrals? And hopefully Doigu has made it so easy that you're working on getting those referrals right now, which is even better. But again, I will be happy to chat about that or anything else as we go along in the session. But for now, I've got one last question, and this is probably the juiciest of all, which is when we cut to the chase and say, okay, we checked out the roles.
Jeremy, I see Erica has a hand up.
Oh, sorry about that. Go for it, Erica.
Okay, my question is like, what about like these people doesn't know you? It's like I have friends here in Toronto, but it's like they don't work in the marketing areas. Like, does people that doesn't know you can give you like referrals?
Yes. Oh my goodness, this is such an important question because it goes back to what's going on behind the scenes, what's really happening here. And so what I want you guys to know about is there's something called an applicant tracking system. Now, you've probably heard a lot about this because of the fact that it's scanning your resume and it's kicking you out of the process. So we tend to be really nervous about it. But the other reason that an ATS is really important is that it gives the recruiter a chance to see all of the sources of the candidates. In other words, who came in online, who was referred. And so here's the cool thing. Because these giant organizations, whether it's Scotiabank or the City of Toronto, has one ATS for their entire organization, anyone can refer anyone else. As a little example, when I worked at Google in California, I routinely referred people for jobs in India or Switzerland, even though I wasn't in those offices, because I had access to the same system. So in general, anyone who works in the organization can refer you. Now, will they refer you is a different question. And again, this is why it takes some relationship development. If you just come in and reach out to someone on LinkedIn and say, hey, Paul, you've never met me, give me a referral, of course he's not going to refer you. Even if he's a George Brown alum, it's too cold, it's too random. Versus if Leo has already warmed him up, told you how awesome you are, he's gotten to see how awesome you are with his own eyes through the conversation you've had. And at that point, a lot of alumni will be comfortable making a referral because they've checked you out. They've gotten a little flavor for you and they feel comfortable going to bat. So again, it does take a little bit of work, but it is so worth it because it really helps you stand out in the area that matters most. Great question. Okay, let's go to our next question from Jody. When should we ask for a referral after connecting to a new person? So Jody, I would never ask for a referral until you've actually met, ideally in person, maybe over the phone or over Zoom if not possible. And then it might not even be after the first call. Like maybe you've had a conversation and you kind of broke the ice a little bit, but you don't have a lot of chemistry yet. It could be totally appropriate to wait till the next conversation where you say, hey, I just want to share some of the experiences that I had using your advice. It was totally spot on. Maybe after you've evolved to that stage of the relationship, now it's appropriate. The bottom line, do try to get real world connections with folks because it makes it so much easier to go to bat for you. Great question, Jody. Bill, are there any other hands up? Sorry, I missed that before.
I think all good now.
Okay.
Thanks,
awesome.
Jeremy.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. Let's go back to where we were, which was actually that final pop quiz. And this one is really juicy, as I promised. So at the end of the day, let's recognize that even though the hiring process can feel a little bit like a game, and there's all this back and forth and all this craziness, at the end of the day, there is one person who sees the hiring process as essential. Is it the recruiter? Is it the hiring manager, AKA your future boss? Or is it the referrer? Who's got the most skin in the game? Who is the hungriest to find the best talent in the world? So come to the chat one last time. Give me your best guess. Jody says B. It's all about the big boss. Crystal Lynn says B. Hiring manager. Joy Goose says A. Jody says maybe A. Luna says B. Farak says B. So the B's and the A's are duking it out. Let's go to Luna to break the tie. Luna, you said it's B. All about the hiring manager. Why is the hiring manager the MVP of the hiring process?
Hi. Well, he will take the decision of who is going to be in his team or her team.
That's right. At the end of the day, the hiring manager bears all the consequences. And here's what I want you to think about. Often when we're in school, when we're at George Brown, if a recruiter comes to campus, that person seems like the face of the company. They're sharing the jobs, they're talking about the jobs. But at the end of the day, it's the hiring manager who is the final decision maker. Because here are the stats. The average recruiter in North America, according to the largest HR organization, has 30 to 40 roles to fill, which means they can't be loyal to any particular role. They're trying to fill all these different roles at once. On the other hand, the hiring manager, your future boss, may have only one role to fill the entire year. And yet, if they hire the wrong person, it is a disaster because now they're putting that person on a probation plan. They're laying them off. They're rehiring. They're retraining. It's basically just ruined their entire year. They've got to find the exact right candidate, which means we have to find the hiring manager. So for our very last profile makeover, for our very last demo, I'm going to show you how to find your future boss hiding out behind the scenes. And if you want that opportunity, all you have to do is put in those magic words, I'm in. And whoever puts that in first gets that final bonus. Who's it going to be? It looks like it's going to be Farouk. So Farouk, Thank you so much for volunteering. Actually, no, it was Erica. Was that right, Bill? Is Erica's hand up first?
Yes.
I believe so, just based on the
Yeah.
way the teams categorize it. Erica, so sorry about that. Erica, you've got the floor. Come and join us. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you.
Of course, of
Like
course.
my
Erica,
question is like, so should
yeah,
we reach out like the hiring managers or like the work
yeah.
company?
So what I'm about to show you is how to find that hiring manager who's hiding out behind the scenes and actually track them down so you can build a direct connection to the person who's the ultimate decision maker. But before we get there, Erica, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I studied in George Brown. I graduated in December last year, but it's
Nice.
like it's been very hard for me to find a job. I went back to my country and like now I'm coming back because I'm doing my PR process, and it's like I have some friends they work in banks and everything, but it's like it's not what I want to do. It's like I want to work like in events or like another fun things. But it's like
Yeah.
that's what I asked you. It's like if we should like reach out to the hiring managers or like the just like the workers there.
Yeah. So what we just talked about in the last section was reaching out to anybody inside the company. Anyone can refer you at Amazon. Anyone can refer you at any company. However, the hiring manager has a special role to play because they have all the incentives to find the right person. So if you can build a relationship with that person while they're hiring, you have almost a guaranteed chance of getting that job, especially if you've impressed them. So Erica, tell me this. You had mentioned events as an interest. Do you want to be an event planner or event manager? What kind of role are you looking for?
No, I just wanna like be like outside plan events, like taking care of people and everything. Is like do all the things that make because before I work like to do concerts, to do like events on in Niagara Falls or some things like that. But it's like in my during my internship, but it's like then it's like I don't want to work. I just have friends in banks, so it's like I don't have friends that works in that area. So it's like for me, it's like I don't know to who I should follow to build this connection.
Right, right. And so it can feel a little dispiriting, especially if you're trying to break in not just to a new industry, but a new country, and you don't have those connections. So here's what we're going to do, Erica. We're going to find those connections because they're there. We just need to shine a flashlight on them. So watch this, everyone. I want you to come back to LinkedIn one last time. This is our last demo. And I want you to put these two magic words into the chat. I'm hiring. And what you will discover is because hiring managers have such a strong incentive to find awesome people that they are no longer satisfied just sort of hiding out behind the scenes. They are now coming onto LinkedIn and telling the whole world, I am hiring. And look at who these people are, Erica. These are not recruiters or headhunters. These are your actual boss, the director, the CEO, the product manager, director of enterprise architecture. These are the people who, if you had a relationship with them, could hire you on the spot because they have that power. So, Erica, how would you like to find people hiring specifically for the event space?
So don't you feel it's like if I reach out to them, it's like if they are like in such a high position, it's like they are gonna like just don't reply because I'm just starting.
Okay, yeah. So here's the interesting thing. If you reach out and say, hey, Nathan, I just want to chat with you. Yeah, you're right. That's a waste of time. Nathan doesn't have time to just chat with random people. But what Nathan really needs is someone to get the job done. And if you could make the case, and I'm going to show you some AI tools, that you can be that person, then you have made Nathan's day. Because remember, Nathan's not posting here out of the goodness of his heart. Nathan is posting here because he's desperate. He needs someone awesome, and he's not finding that person right now in the candidates the recruiters are bringing in. So let's do this. Let's focus specifically on I'm hiring for events, and then we can zoom in on a specific opportunity. All right, here we go. I am looking for an event manager for my team, says Laura Fernandez. So if we were to look at some of these opportunities, what we could do is we could get a sense of, okay, what is Laura looking for? What is she hungry for? And then after we look at the job description, what I want you to do, Erica, and I want every George Brown alum to try this, is come to ChatGPT and say, what are the 3 things I should mention when I reach out to the hiring manager for an event planning position? And again, you could put in project manager or software developer, whatever it is. And what you really want to nail are the things that are relevant. So let's write this message together. Are you ready, Erica? Erica, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Great, great. Okay, so here we go. We're going to write this message, and obviously you could do this in email. I'm just going to do it here for a second. So say, hi, Laura. I just came across your event manager role, and I was thrilled to see that you're looking for the exact skill set I can bring. Now, in this case, I'm going to give you some challenges, Erica. What if she says she's looking for someone who's highly organized? Do you have any experience managing really complex events, complex projects?
No.
No? Okay, be honest with me, Erica, because here's the thing that really stops people. If you just look at your resume and say, oh, I don't see anything about that, I haven't done it, then you're going to get stuck. But what I need you to do is to break through, to say, hey, I was juggling work and school, or I was working for that organization in Niagara Falls, and I drove those awesome events that drove revenue or drove engagement. That's what I need you to pull out, okay, Erica? So tell me about an example of something you did that actually showed off those organizational skills that I know you have.
Organizations like
Not working for an organization, organizational skills, like staying on top of the chaos, keeping everything running smoothly.
when I used to work for like a company.
Aha, or a volunteer position or an internship, exactly.
Yeah, and nothing was set up. It's like I have to take care of like almost everything, like import, exports, like because they used to bring like things from Peru to sell in Ecuador, which is my country, and I have to start from scratch, like the digital marketing, the delivery process, the like everything.
Yeah, so you can just see it. Say, in my previous role, I was responsible for an entire cross-border trade project that included import, export, delivery, logistics, every element of making this business come off the ground and turn into a business that generated thousands or millions of dollars of revenue. That's what I want to see you get credit for, okay, Erica? And the reason I'm pushing you on this is I know you've got it, but your hiring manager needs to understand it as well. If Laura can see what you've done for organization, for logistics, for communication, maybe those are the 3 things she's looking for, now you're speaking her language. Because here's the big reveal. It turns out that hiring managers don't care about just random chit chat. What they care about is solving their pain. And as a hiring manager myself, Erica, my #1 pain is I don't have enough people to get everything done, which means I have to do it myself, and I hate that. So if you can solve my pain, if you can be my Advil or my Tylenol, you have a chance to chat with me and get a job that could change the course of your life. Does that make sense, Erica?
Yes, but what about if I send you all that message and then you don't reply to me, and then like you post like another position, and then should I reply to that position or no?
Yeah, great question. This goes right back to what Tricia was asking before, which is this is not a one-shot deal. If you're going to work hard to make this message, you don't want to leave it right there. You want to make sure that you follow up. So I'm going to show you another tool. I love this tool called followupthen.com. It is also free. And the reason I use it is that when I engage in a conversation, I say, hey, it's up to me to follow up. I've got to be the person who's driving the action. So in the BCC line, I put this magic message every 1 week at followupthen.com. And then even if I get busy, even if I get distracted, I always follow up. And check this out, Erica. This is going to blow your mind. It turns out that when you follow up, you actually have a way better opportunity of getting response Because some people only reply on the second message or the third message. And if you never bother to follow up, you are leaving opportunity and money on the table. And that's the one thing we never want to do. Okay, Erica? Okay, Erica, you were fabulous today. Yeah, go for it, Erica.
But don't they will feel like they are being like stopped because it's like you're sending one message. Then
Yeah.
another
So here's the reality, Erica. As a hiring manager, so I hired everyone on the marketing team at Khan Academy. I want someone who is driven, who is passionate, who is ambitious. And if you can't bother to follow up on the first email you sent me, how can I count on you to follow up and get projects done, do deals that will actually change the course of my company? So think about it this way. What you do when you reach out for a job is a crystal ball for the employer about how you're going to be in the role in the future. And if you are strong, if you are aggressive, if you are confident, those are the things that I want on my team because those are going to be the future leaders of my organization. So the bottom line is this, Erica. I want you to send me a message on LinkedIn because I want to give you that profile makeover. And one of the things I'm going to model for you when I reach out to you on that profile makeover is how to represent your experience with confidence, because that's the number one thing you need to stand out in this crowded marketplace. Okay, Erica?
Oh.
Okay, great job, Erica. Everyone give Erica a ton of love. She was fabulous. Okay, I know you've got a bunch of questions, and I want to make sure we get those questions answered before we close up. So here's what we're going to do. If you've got any last questions, please raise your hand or put it in the chat, and we're going to take those right now. Okay, Ree's got a great question. How long should I wait before following up after the job is closed, according to the hiring manager? So Ree, I would not wait for the job to show closed. A lot of times when it shows closed, we actually have chosen a candidate, we're making an offer. So bottom line, if I've reached out to a hiring manager and I haven't heard back in a week and the job is still open, I would absolutely follow up, both to keep my profile on his or her mind and also to demonstrate those skills we were just talking about. Great question, Ree. I love that. Okay, let's see here. Jody had a question from earlier. What if we cannot pass the first round interview? Jody, interesting. Jody, do you mind unmuting for one moment? Tell us about some of your biggest interview challenges. What have you been struggling with?
Yeah, hiring manager. Yeah, I think they are the last person to make a decision. But sometimes in the first one, like the recruiter, if you cannot perform well, then they don't pass your application to the next level, right?
That's
so
right.
What do you think about it? I'm just not so sure.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, Jody, because everything in the process is a funnel, right? And what do we know about the shape of a funnel? It gets narrower and narrower at every stage. So if you want to make sure that you get past to the second round, pass to the final round, you've got to ace every one of those stages. And check this out, Jody. I have a secret weapon for you, which is hiding inside LinkedIn, unbeknownst to most people, is something called interview prep. And what interview prep will do is it will help you get ready for prime time by practicing the actual questions you're about to get. Now, Jody, have you ever gotten this question? Tell me about yourself.
Always.
Always, yeah. Every single question starts with it. And then here's the really scary thing, Jody. How many minutes does it take for most recruiters or hiring managers to make up their mind about you in an interview?
You mean the first interview?
In any interview, how many minutes does it usually take for the person to make up their mind?
1 minute?
1 minute. You're probably right, Jody. The research suggests it's about 5 minutes on average. Because it's an average, it probably means that some people are making up their minds in 30 seconds or 60 seconds. And what that means is that you need to ace that first question. Tell me about yourself is not a throwaway, it's everything. And so what do? You come into this tool, and what you're going to do, Jody, is you're going to practice the perfect opener. Just like a politician would practice for the opening question of a debate, you want to make sure that you knock that first question out of the park. And that involves two things. Number one, you have to see yourself the way that the interviewer does. What's your body language like? What are your facial expressions like? And the best way to do that is to see yourself on screen. And then number two, how are you coming across? Are you speaking too slow or too fast? Are you varying your pitch or are you monotone? And what you can do with all these tools is you can take this answer, you can share it with your coaches, share it with your colleagues, and get feedback to really stand out in those first few minutes. Okay, Jody? That is totally free, and the link is right there in the chat. Great question, Jody.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Bill, for grabbing those questions. Ruth says, how do you know your referral is the right one? Ruth, if you don't mind unmuting, what do you mean by right? What does the word right mean in that sentence?
I think it was a typo.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I was
No worries.
in the class.
No worries. What were you asking there, Ruth?
Like what? How do you know when the person that is the right fit for you? Like you're reaching out, you are trying to get the job. Wait, let me read it again, and I can do it properly. He says,
just send it back to me in the chat, and I'll pick it up when you send it in. Okay, Ruth? Okay, that's great. All right, let's see here. Luna says, how can I use LinkedIn to identify a current problem a company has? Ooh, I love this, Luna. This is so good. Luna, this is like a ninja level black belt question, because now you're really thinking like a hiring manager. So let's say you want to figure out what the company is facing. We come over here and you say, generate a SWOT analysis. And if you took any business classes at George Brown, you know that SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And inside a company, they're always asking themselves these questions. So generate a SWOT analysis for Shopify, and then watch what you get back. This tool will start to understand what's going well for the company, but what are some of their challenges, and most importantly, what are some of their threats? So imagine you go in for a Shopify interview and they say, hey, what are you going to do to support our company's growth? How are you going to help us? Well, you say, hey, I know you've got a lot of competition. Other firms are coming for your business. Here are 3 ideas I have to fend off that competition and stand out. And if you can think that way from the very beginning, you are absolutely the person that I want to hire on my team, and pretty much every other hiring manager does as well. Great, great question. Please use that prompt right in the chat, Luna. Such a great question. Okay, Jackie says, I have a recent grad who got to interview 4, completed the process, and then was not selected for a trainee position. How can he leverage this experience to apply for another similar position in a different company? So first of all, Jackie, I think the critical thing is we've got to celebrate the success that got him to interview number 4.
Yep.
So many people in this job market aren't getting interviews at all, let alone 1, 2, 3, and 4. So your student's doing really well. I think the question then becomes, what might be holding that person back? Again, not in a 60-minute interview, but in a 5-minute interview. What kinds of initial impressions is that student giving off that may raise little red flags where you say, hey, I know he's really qualified on paper, but I'm just not connecting in person. And if we can sort of hone in on those precise things that may be giving the hiring manager pause, we can tackle them with that student before their next final round interview. Okay, Jackie?
Okay, yeah, okay. I'll talk to him about that. I sort of prepared him for everything, and he was so good, and I sort of heard him, and I don't know what it is, so I think we have to try maybe another process and see what's happening.
Well, Jackie,
like, I think it was just really close, and I think he just wasn't selected, and of course,
yeah,
he's never going to know why, right?
Right. Sometimes it boils down to luck, and of course, the recruiters will never tell you because they don't want to get in trouble with the legal team. But I'm going to make you a kind of crazy offer, Jackie. If your student is willing to try out this tool, he can send me his answer, and I would be happy to give him my genuine feedback as someone who's done a million of these interviews. So please let him know. I'm happy to help.
I will. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie. Okay, Ruth is back. How do you know your referral is the right one? Okay, so I think what you're getting at here, Ruth, if I had to guess, is that you're trying to figure out for those mutual connections, who should I reach out to? And so just to go back a few steps here, let's go back to our search for someone on the inside. In this case, we were looking at Paul. Now, one of the things that we're going to notice when we look at Paul's profile is that we have multiple mutual connections. So what I would do is I would think about this as a Venn diagram. Who on this list knows me best? Who on this list is likely to know Paul best? For example, if Paul is in Canada and only Jeffrey is in Canada, everyone else is in the US or the UK, I'm probably going to choose Jeffrey because he probably has had more exposure to Paul over the course of his career. On the other hand, if I know Leo really well and I have no idea who Jessica is, I can't remember connecting with her, I'm probably going to choose Leo because at least he can go to bat for me. So bottom line, you're always looking for that Goldilocks sweet spot, Ruth, where someone knows you and the person that you want to reach, and that's when you want to reach out. Great question, Ruth. Thank you for asking that. Okay, Bill, I know we're a little bit over time. Were there any questions I missed? Any other hands I should go back to?
So I see Crystal Lynn and Farouk has hands up. Not sure if they got the question.
Yeah, let's go to Farouk. Farouk, did you have a question?
Hey, Jeremy, how you doing? Thanks for your time here today. I had a couple questions. One was earlier about referrals or following up, and I wanted to ask you, was that apply as well with applying to companies online and then contacting in the future directly to the company, trying to get a hold of the hiring manager? Because I've done that unsuccessfully in the past and have been met with even, a certain feeling that makes you feel like your original is now maybe jeopardized. How would you address that in both situations, online and in person?
Yeah, great question, Farouk. So one of the critical things we've got to look at is the data. And what the data shows in no uncertain terms is that you have a huge bonus as an applicant when you apply in the first 96 hours. Why is this? Well, if you think about it from the recruiter's perspective, they have a huge incentive to choose someone in those first couple days because the job is fresh, it's exciting, it's new. And then a week later or 2 weeks later, they're like, oh, I've got a million candidates already. I can't be bothered. So you do want to apply pretty quickly. That being said, what you can do is once you apply, you can also start reaching out for referrals or the hiring manager. Because, and this is the great thing, let's say you get rejected immediately. The ATS just dings your resume, it's not a good fit. But then a referral or the hiring manager goes to bat for you, they can absolutely pull your application out of the fire and put it back into the hopper. That's the power that an internal influencer has. So bottom line, I want to give you a 1-2 strategy. Apply early because it gives you an advantage, but don't stop there. Keep searching for that insider edge even after you've applied. Okay, Farouk?
Perfect. Thank you, Jeremy.
Of course. And then to Crystal Lynn. Crystal Lynn, so sorry to keep you waiting.
It's quite fine. I'm quite patient. I had 2 questions. I'll start with, what if you have no mutual connections with any of the employees that you found on LinkedIn? That's entirely possible.
Yeah, for sure. So if you say, hey, I'm looking through my list. And by the way, you can always filter this list by second degree. So you could say, show me everyone here who I have a second degree connection with. And if you see no one on that list, you say, oh, I'm doomed. But no way. It turns out that you're not doomed at all because look at this. Come right over here to Fernanda's profile. She's third degree, and you're still going to reach out using the techniques we talked about. Mm-hmm. Maybe you look up her email address on Hunter. Maybe you go down and you figure out what else you have in common with her. So in this case, George Brown. And you're still absolutely going to send her a message that focuses on what you have in common. So you say, hi, Fernanda, a fellow GBC alumna here. So excited to see that you've dove into the Amazon experience. Would love to learn what you've discovered. And there you go. Even though it's not quite as powerful as having that mutual connection, it's given you that little crack in the door that we all need to get our foot in that door. And ultimately, we're going to kick it open, aren't we, Crystal Lynn? And get access to an opportunity.
Perfect. So speaking of putting your foot in the door, getting your foot in there, what if you are someone who's coming from one realm of professional experience and you're pivoting into another? How can you maximize or optimize rather your LinkedIn profile so that the people in the industry that you're aspiring to feel compelled to give you a shot at an interview? In my case, I am a former educator and I'm pivoting into HR, but I'm finding it very difficult to break into the industry now that I've graduated.
Yes, I'm going to actually show you this live on the screen because I think it's best demonstrated. So you've been in HR, but you want to get into teaching. Is that right, Crystal Lynn?
No, I've been in teaching and
been in teaching. Okay, got it. Yeah. So here's what I would do. Sorry about that.
That's
what
fine.
you want to do is you want to pivot, not just pivoting in your mind where you're like, I know what I want. You need to pivot on your profile because guess what? As powerful as recruiters are, they can't see inside your head. They can't see inside your heart. So we've got to make it easy for them. So what I would do is I would come in here and I'd be super clear about what I'm looking for. So I'd get rid of educator because it's not relevant right now. And I say that as a former teacher, like, I know sometimes it's hard to leave those things behind. We got to focus. And what is the specific role you want, Crystal Lynn? Do you want to be an HR manager? Do you want to be a recruiter?
Really and truly, a generalist or a coordinator job, even an administrator job would be fine.
Yeah, so you could say seeking HR, administrator, or coordinator roles. And I got to work on my spelling because it's not the best, as you can see. And then the very first thing that recruiters are going to see about you is ding, 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 we have a match. I am looking for an HR administrator. I'm looking for an HR coordinator. Here is someone who is exactly focused on that thing. So that's a good start. Now we come down to your about section. Let me just expand that a little bit. Right now we have this massive body of text. And Crystal Lynn, I know we haven't talked about it a ton today, but if you were a recruiter who spends 6 seconds on profiles tops, would you ever read this massive paragraph?
No, it's too long.
Too long. Just give up and say, hey, I'll find someone better. What you want to do instead is you want to steal my format.
Okay.
And, there was a great saying from either Picasso or Steve Jobs. He said, good artists copy, great artists steal. I want you to steal.
Okay.
So come over here, and I want you to have one really clear sentence that says, I'm looking for these roles. 3 little examples that show me why you're awesome. In HR, I want to hear about your organization, your communication, your ability to solve talent problems, even in the classroom. And then I want some of the most important keywords straight off the job description, right here where I can see them. Easy peasy, make it easy for me to choose you. And then finally, one last little AI hack for you, Crystal Lynn. What you can do is you can grab your whole profile, top to bottom. You come right over to ChatGPT and you say, hey, I want to switch from teaching to HR. What are 5 changes I should make to my profile to stand out? And the beautiful thing about ChatGPT is it is so good at helping to see the patterns that connect your old work to your new work. And it will instantly say, hey, you have already been awesome at communication, conflict resolution, training development. Every teacher has to do these things. Make sure you get credit for it in the language of HR. And on and on and on, like we were talking about, make sure you stand out in a way that makes sense to a recruiter. Is that helpful, Crystal Lynn?
Oh, that's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. That was probably way more than you wanted, but always good to give a little extra. Good luck, Crystal Lynn. Okay, Bill, I'm so sorry we've gone over time. My apologies. Is there anything I've missed?
We still have some questions in the chat, but I know that we've gone over time.
And by the way, I'm happy to keep chatting. I just want to be respectful of your time and your evenings, but maybe I can take one last question. Okay, first of all, Farouk, being verified or not doesn't hurt your LinkedIn account. Don't fall into all that stuff. And then Luna says, given your extensive experience training professionals on LinkedIn and AI, how do you see the role of ChatGPT evolving in personal branding and networking? Generated by ChatGPT. I love that, Luna. So here's the thing. Even though AI is accessible to everyone, I see most people using it the wrong way. I see them writing entire resumes, entire cover letters based on AI, and it all comes out really mediocre. The same language, the same tone. It's the opposite of what you want because it makes you the same as the crowd as opposed to helping you stand out. So here's my prediction, Luna. As with everything in life, there are going to be winners and losers. The winners in this particular space are going to be the ones who figure out how to use AI the right way. AI as your research assistant, AI as your inspiration, as your muse, not as your ghostwriter. And if you can use it that way, Luna, I know that you're going to stand out in your space, and you're going to do that today and in the future. So thanks for asking that great question, Luna, even if it was ChatGPT. I love that. Okay, let's finish up with some final goodies. Okay, Bill?
Yep, for sure.
Okay, so a couple things I want to give you before you head off into the beautiful Toronto evening or Vancouver evening. First thing is, I would love to connect with you. I got to tell you, I have been blown away by your questions tonight. The fact that this group is so curious, so passionate, makes me so happy because you guys are the future leaders and I want you to be asking those questions. So please connect, send me a note. I would love to stay in touch. And if we didn't get a chance to answer your questions, just ask me online. I will answer right away. That's number one. Number two, check out what Bill and the team have gotten you. They have gotten you access to every single masterclass that I've ever built, including entire courses on AI, LinkedIn, applicant tracking systems. And they would normally be $300 US or $400 Canadian, except for you, it's 100% free forever, thanks to your amazing alumni team. So please grab that link in the chat, get all of these goodies forever to support your success. And then one last crazy thing. Back when I was in school, I was an intern for Apple in the digital stone ages back in 2011. And I was there for what turned out to be Steve Jobs' very last keynote ever. And I'll never forget it because he got up there on that stage, as sick as he was at the time, and delivered this absolute rousing speech, including this one last slide, one more thing. And on that morning in July, Steve shocked the world by introducing Siri for the first time. Now, I know that Siri is not looking too good these days by comparison with ChatGPT, but there is a direct line between the world that Steve ushered in that morning and the world we're living in right now. So in honor of Steve, in honor of Siri, I've got one more thing for you. And today, it's Networking Bot 2000. Check this out, y'all. If you grab this link, which I'm going to put right in the chat, all you have to do is say, hey, I know Jeremy taught us about networking, but now the big day is here. I'm exploring roles or I'm getting a referral, and I'm not really sure how to ask the right questions that get me the information I need. So if I paste in someone's profile or paste in their resume, what I can start to figure out is these are the questions to ask to help me learn from their experience, help me get a referral, help me knock the socks off of a hiring manager. And this tool is free forever for every GBC alum because I want you to end with this thought, which is, what did Steve say to us? He said, hey, our time is limited, and he knew that better than most. Do not waste even a second of it living someone else's life. Live the life that is true to you and blaze a trail to glory to bring so much honor, so much pride to GBC. Thank you, Bill. Thank you to the incredible team. I am wishing you all a beautiful evening and a lovely start to fall in Toronto. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Jeremy, for this amazing section. So if you have a minute, just complete the feedback questionnaire that I pasted in chat. Sorry, Jeremy, about the overrunning.
No. By the way, I am happy to go on for as long as anyone wants. So shoot me a message on LinkedIn and we can continue the conversation there. But for now, thank you again to Bill and the team. And here's wishing you a beautiful start to the evening. Cheers, all.
We do have more sections in October and November, so I pasted the link in the chat, so feel free to register if you're interested. So thanks everyone for attending.